Several billion people live on Earth right now. There is hardly anyone who would not hear about God, the supreme intelligence, or the higher forces. Belief in the higher forces and God remains through the ages. Today, as tens of thousands of years ago, people turn to God in the hour of need, seeking His support and protection. At times, people's faith in God weakens. In Russia, it happened in the Soviet period. It was commonly believed that people put their faith in God only out of fear or ignorance. Faith in God was perceived as a resort of uneducated old men, and therefore, faith in God was replaced by faith in science. Indeed, modern science explains many natural phenomena and unveils more and more mysteries, leaving almost nothing in the dark. People have fallen for the power of the human mind. However, the human mind becomes powerless as soon as a hurricane, flood, tornado, or an earthquake in minutes destroy all that people have created for years, making their lives miserable. Then they lift their hands in dismay, realizing that they cannot change anything. At the top of Mount Antake, rescuers have found the cell phones of the mountaineers who had caught their deaths on video. The young men died trying to capture the images of ash clouds rising from the crater. These shots were their final record. In the recording, one can hear them trying to breathe with all the strength they had left. People sense their hopelessness and inability to withstand the circumstances only when they face repeated misfortunes or when destiny drives them into a dead end. For all its power, science cannot always protect people even from flu or common cold, let alone the earthquakes or volcanic eruptions. Intuitively, the observant people have always sensed the existence of someone who is in control, the forces that stand above them. On the one hand, people would believe in the existence of the higher forces. On the other hand, they would forget about their faith when life is good. However, in the face of adversity, even a hardened atheist wails in despair, "Lord, why am I being punished?" The reason of such people's behavior is pride and confidence in the omnipotence of the human mind. People live under the illusion of complete freedom to do anything that comes to their minds. Non-believers attribute all the troubles that happen in their lives to a coincidence or a combination of circumstances. However, an observant person would always notice a certain pattern behind accidents. Denying the existence of the higher forces is as unreasonable as denying the existence of air just because one cannot see it. Even traditional science has gathered a lot of facts that it cannot explain. State-of-the-art photo and video equipment register the lumps of energy in the shapes that reflect a human form. In the video, these energies behave purposefully and intelligently. The history of humanity contains many records of mysterious messengers from the invisible world appearing before people. who, in some cases, warned people about the upcoming events and dangers.
It was on April 5th, in the afternoon. I was sitting on my chair, and there he came. And my blind eyes saw him as clear as you see me now. The man was on a horse, and he stopped right in front of me. "You are so-and-so," he said. "You will see and tell who's alive and who's dead."
Like thousands of years ago, there are people with extraordinary abilities who can hear from the invisible world. The world of the divine, the world of the intelligent mind, which, like humans, perfects its qualities on the path of the eternal evolution. We will tell you about the philosophy of the highest worlds that explains how our world is set up, what laws govern it, what the soul is made of, and how it evolves. Matter is everything that surrounds us. Matter exists in many forms and with an endless variety of properties. Our world consists of matter. Materialism is a branch of philosophy which holds matter to be primary and spirit and consciousness secondary. Materialism studies the laws of matter but does not answer the question of why these laws are in place and who has set them up. Materialism does not provide an answer to the question of how our world's matter appeared and in what form it had existed before the emergence of the universe. And, most importantly, materialism denies the existence of the immaterial, fine world, even though modern science has recorded sufficient evidence of its existence. Scientist, physicist, and mathematician Isaac Newton wrote, "A heavenly master governs all the world as sovereign of the universe. We are astonished at him by reason of his perfection. We honor him and fall down before him because of his unlimited power." Truth is multifaceted, like a diamond, in which everyone would see only one facet and will describe it in one's own way. Because people do not share a common view of life, truth seems to be conflicting. The reason is lack of knowledge. When one theory contradicts another, it is necessary to look for the new facts that could eliminate the controversy. Only one whole knowledge can offer insight into the entire volume of the diamond of truth. Is a facet with its own laws. However, the whole diamond exists under other laws. Therefore, to answer the question, which knowledge is the most correct, scientific, religious, or esoteric, we can say that all of them are the facets of the same diamond, of one truth, and man must be able to see all of them at the same time. Science is used to operating with assertable facts. It mainly studies the physical world, although it has gathered a lot of information that exceeds the limits of the material world. For example, German theoretical physicist and founder of quantum mechanics, Max Planck, stated, "Wherever we look, whatever the subject of our observation, we cannot find any contradiction between religion and science. We can rather state their absolute harmony in major points, especially in the area of natural science. Both religion and science eventually seek the truth and come to the confession of faith in God. Both religion and science uncover parts of the truth in one way or another. However, with time becomes obsolete, including knowledge. For example, the first books of the Bible were written several thousand years ago. In those days, people did not have the present knowledge, and therefore claiming that the most accurate knowledge is in the Bible is incorrect. Early Christian philosophers had fierce debates. often followed by persecutions, exiles, and starving the defeated opponents to death. With time, religion has established its dogmas that every believer had to accept on faith, and anyone with different opinion was considered a heretic. We do not belittle the importance of religion for humanity, and we respect the feelings of the believers. Religious institutions have been envisaged above as the schools of morality to help people develop the highest qualities of the soul, like love, mercy, and compassion. However, what is projected above is not always implemented by people according to plan. The reason is freedom of will, which is given to people as a tool of self-improvement and as a prerequisite for the formation of the above-mentioned positive qualities of the soul. Therefore, time always demands amendments to correct errors of the past, to improve what is current, and to complement it with what is new and consistent with the spirit of the time and the level of human development. Esoteric philosophy acknowledges the existence of God and provides knowledge of not only how our world has been created and how it is designed, but also why it has been created and why it is designed this way. Can esoteric knowledge be trusted? Is it true? How accurate is it? It must be understood that any knowledge, including esoteric philosophy, does not fully reflect the truth. The reason lies not in the limitations of esoteric philosophy, but in the level of human development and understanding. The level of human development prevents people from learning the truth in its fullness. Man lives in the material world and operates with the concepts of this world. Our language simply does not have the words to describe immaterial worlds. To make the new knowledge more relatable to people, it has to be simplified. New concepts must be introduced gradually, based on what is already known by people. Only through the comprehension of the new facets of the truth, one can reach a new level of development and knowledge. The concept of the soul has come to us from the past. People knew about the existence of an eternal core inside them, invisible to the eye. Knowledge of the soul remains in customs and traditions of different nations and is so ingrained in our minds that we fail to register it in everyday life, although we use it regularly. For example, school children learn that things can be animate or inanimate. Animate means living, having a soul. Inanimate means not living, not having a soul. Any school kid would easily say that human beings, animals, birds, or fish are animate, without even thinking about the true essence of the word. Knowledge about the soul is given through the people who can receive it because of their abilities. These people are called prophets, clairvoyants, saints, psychics, mediums, or channelers. Different nations used to have different concepts of the soul at different stages of their development. Currently, people are given modern knowledge about the soul. This is what we are going to talk about. The soul is an immaterial substance, an immaterial form of life. It is not a misty cloud that melts like a smoke, but an eternal and an extra strong structure, more durable than physical body. Our biological body has a short life. Average lifespan of people is about 70 years. The soul can exist forever. Our biological body consists of atoms. The soul is an immaterial structure which consists of energies. Figuratively, one can say that the soul consists of the particles of energy of an infinite number of types. Where do souls come from? The soul creation is a complex and a lengthy process. Each soul has a specific purpose and is created for a reason. Every human has a soul, but it does not emerge at the time of conception or birth. The soul is created long before the moment of birth. The soul can exist on its own in the fine world. However, a human body cannot exist on its own without a soul. The soul is created first, and only after that it is integrated in the physical body. One can draw the following formula: man equals biological body plus soul. When the soul leaves the body, man dies. Biological body minus soul equals dead man. The soul has a matrix-type cellular structure. Matrix is a mathematical term, which we are going to use to describe the soul structure. Imagine a chart filled with numbers. The soul's matrix is comprised of cells like a mathematical matrix. However, unlike a mathematical matrix, the soul's matrix is filled with energies. Matrix is the basis or the core of the soul. Why do we compare a matrix of the soul with a mathematical matrix? Because it can be presented as a honeycomb lattice. Honeycomb is a special construction for the collection and storage of honey. The soul's matrix is also a special construction designed by God to collect and store energies. How do energies appear in the cells of the matrix? Who is the bee that fills the cells of the matrix with energies? The soul's matrix can be presented as a sphere with cells. The cells are designed for the accumulation of a wide range of energies. Each type of energy is responsible for building of a particular quality of a personality. For instance, a quality of diligence, a quality of compassion, a quality of mercenariness, and so on. The list of various types of qualities is very long. However, some of them must be developed by every human being on the way of progression. Since all people are different, everyone develops these general qualities with a slight personal touch. The spectrum of these energies evolves in the two opposite directions, conventionally called plus and minus, or positive and negative. Positive energies are responsible for building of such qualities as love, mercy, creativity, diligence, etc. Negative energies build such qualities as mercenariness, vindictiveness, hatred, selfness, etc. The whole process is set up for the accumulation of a nominative set of qualities in the cells of the soul's matrix. After all the cells of the matrix are filled with the required energies, the soul will continue its progression at the higher levels of existence, in the plus or minus worlds, depending on the predominant types of qualities accumulated in its matrix. Polarity is common to absolutely everything. Higher, lower, plus, minus, left, right, cold, hot, thick, thin, long, short, light, darkness, and so on. Polarity accounts for absolutely all measures and concepts without exception. The existence of the opposite states of the same object or process allows us to compare the opposites. Based on that, we can obtain data about the subject of our research and build an image and a concept of its nature. Without dualism, man would not be able to understand things, extract information, and interpret the reality. Everything would simply be as givenness, lifeless, and unconscious. God spiritualizes the souls and creates the worlds for their evolution in accordance with His own purposes. Likewise, man creates conditions for the progression and growth of his personal qualities, and through practice and gaining experience, develops and discovers new opportunities. In the same way, God, at His level of development and capabilities, grants the right of consciousness to the particles of Himself, spiritualizing their identity. The act of spiritualization launches these particles into a new level of existence, where they can be self-conscious and independently aspire for the progressive growth. This conscious aspiration of the soul on the way of progress beyond progress is called spirituality. In other words, the soul's matrix, spiritualized by God, is part of him, and through its development, God also develops Himself, for everything is interconnected and interdependent. The dualism that fundamentally exists in all living things is the mechanism of life activation. Two opposite factors are in constant antagonism and confrontation with each other. Hence, they create the dynamic of transformational changes. However, a mere creation of activity is not enough. The process must be controlled. For this reason, the two opposites are always controlled by a governing structure, governing part. The governing part consists of both plus and minus energies and grows with the increase of the two subordinate opposite sides. In other words, the progression of the two opposites leads to the increase of the governing part. Assuming that the whole volume of the soul is 100%, the governing part is always equal to 50% of the entire volume. It acts as a control stock that guarantees the subordination and control within the soul. The remaining 50% of the matrix is split between the plus and the minus portions. It must be noted that neither of the two oppositions can totally vanish or become absorbed by another. In other words, even if the soul accumulates only positive qualities, the minus portion of the soul will decrease down to 1%, but will never disappear completely. Therefore, the control stock of energies of the governing part of the soul will always be more powerful than the plus or the minus portion. Such constitution of the soul allows God to maintain control over the spiritualized matrix. A newly created matrix is almost blank. Only 3% of its cells are filled with energies. 1% of all the cells in the new matrix is filled with plus energies, 1% is filled with minus energies, and 1% with neutral energies. The remaining cells of the matrix are to be filled by the soul on its own. A newly created soul has a matrix and one protective energy shell. In other words, matrix forms the basis of the soul. The soul is a matrix protected by one or more energy shells. We can say that man's physical body also serves as a temporary protective shell of the soul, which allows the soul to integrate in the material world, like a spacesuit that protects an astronaut in the outer space, and to fulfill its program from the moment of birth until death. The soul is designed this way for a reason. As we have already mentioned, the creation of the soul is a complex process. The soul has been designed in accordance with the certain rules and laws. To name some of them, the law of spiritualization, the law of triunity, the law of the beginning. These are the fundamental laws that form the basis of everything thinkable and unthinkable in the whole creation, beginning with the human form of life, which is a microscopic particle of the whole creation. To learn more about the laws, see Laws of the Universe or The Foundations of Existence of the Divine Hierarchy. Authors Larissa A. Seklitova and Lyudmila L. Strelnikova. All newly created souls are identical like twins. Yet there are no matching souls in the whole creation. What makes every soul different? A mechanism of personal identity. Thanks to this mechanism, all initially identical matrices become different in the process of development. How does it happen? Matrix is designed to process energies and accumulate qualities. It means that the soul is a perpetual engine for the processing of energies. Materialistic physicists argue that perpetual engine cannot be designed. We claim that it already exists. It is the soul. The soul carries out a certain work, and through this work, it gains the necessary experience and evolves. The soul is called living for a reason. It develops like any living organism. This gives new meaning to the concept of life. People attribute the state of living only to biological organisms. We claim that the soul is also alive, for it develops and grows through the accomplished works. After the soul is created, it is sent in a material or an immaterial world. The human soul functions in the material world. Other souls may function in the fine worlds. The key word here is function. Of course, physical labor does not exist in the fine worlds. However, these worlds undergo constant transformations, and the workforce behind the transformations are the souls. Our souls exist here on earth and carry out a certain work. Let us imagine the following situation. You want to raise a fine crop of vegetables. To do that, you must dig the ground, sow seeds, keep weeds out, protect the plants from beetles, dig in compost, and only after that is it time to harvest. In other words, growing something requires a lot of labor. Likewise, the soul does a certain amount of work, for which it is remunerated with the needed energies in its matrix. Little by little, the cells of the matrix are filled with energies. Founder of the theory of evolution, Charles Darwin stated, "I have never been an atheist in the sense of denying the existence of a God. The first cell has had to receive a breath of life from the Creator. The world rests on the objective laws and manifests itself as a product of reason, which is an indication of Creator." Earth is a living organism. We are used to attribute the state of living only to biological organisms. However, the concept of living significantly exceeds the limits of traditional understanding. Let us draw an example. In order to live, our body needs food, water, and air. Every cell of our body is alive. It receives nutrients, water, and oxygen through the system of blood vessels. Waste products of every cell are excreted from the organism. When nutrients are in short supply, the cell sends a signal to the brain through the nervous system, and man feels hungry or thirsty. We satisfy our needs by consuming food and water. Similar processes occur in our planet. Earth also requires its nutrients, which are certain types of energies. These energies are supplied to Earth by the biological organisms like plants, fish, birds, animals, and human beings. Since our planet requires various kinds of energies, forms of life on Earth vary. Let us imagine a database that contains all the data about our souls. When the highest systems receive a signal that Earth requires certain types of energies, This database is used to select the souls that are best suited for the generation of the required energies in the required location of the planet. Our souls are held in the fine world, which is located above the earth. After the best suited souls are found, they are prepared on the fine plane for the transfer in the physical world. If you have ever wondered why you were born in this country or in this place rather than anywhere else, you must realize that the place you were born was not accident. Each new soul that is born on earth is placed in strict relation to other forms of this world in accordance with the computations of the highest systems. The above computations are very accurate, and not a single soul is discharged to earth without them. The place of birth is not the only factor that matters for the incarnation of the soul on earth. Time of birth is also important. The system that oversees the souls has a sort of a chart displaying the characteristics of each hour, minute, and second on earth. The place of birth is selected based on the combination of several factors: the needs of the planet, the needs of the soul, and the goals of the highest systems. Therefore, astrology has been given to humanity as a science to help people advance in this area of knowledge and learn about man's connection with the surrounding world and the processes of energy circulation in it. People must realize a simple truth. They are involved in the energy exchange with the outside world. During their life, people generate a lot of various types of energies. These are familiar to us physical energies, like heat energy, etc., and fine energies. We produce energy when we work, rest, read books, watch TV, love, hate, etc. Any our emotion is also an energy. It is no coincidence that after quarrel, people feel empty, blank, or worn to a frazzle. Some people provoke others. They are called energy vampires. It may be said that us and our souls are mini power stations that generate energy. This is the prime purpose of the human existence. At the same time, people do not only generate certain types of energies, but also receive the energies that they need. Likewise, Earth, for instance, did not appear in space all by herself. It was designed by the highest systems. This process involved the enormous consumption of various types of energies. We also receive the necessary types of fine energies from our determinants, heavenly teachers. These energies are critical for our lives. The fine world operates under the certain laws according to which everyone gives and receives some kind of energies. Let us give you an example. Energy may be compared with money. We receive payment for our labor and use it to satisfy our needs. In the fine world, every energy is accounted for in a very accurate way. No energy can be used without payment. Only on Earth, one can make a fortune by playing on stock markets or running Ponzi schemes. In the fine world, everyone gets only what they earn. Although everything depends on the level of the fine world, for there are some low worlds in which fraud can still exist.
Less than a teaspoonful of dry anthrax in an envelope shut down the United States Senate in the fall of 2001. This forced several hundred...
Every birth of a human being and the descent of the soul into the physical world also requires energy. When the soul is discharged to earth, it is handed over to its heavenly teacher, a guardian angel, or a determinant, who guides the soul through life. Determinants are the souls of a very high level of development. However, they can also be of different levels, and therefore, each determinant is given the soul that is best suited for his level. Determinants must progress too. A less experienced determinant normally gets a less developed soul. A more experienced determinant is given a more developed soul. The reason is that an inexperienced determinant does not have much to offer to a highly developed human soul. On the contrary, a high-level determinant may set back development of a low-developed human soul. After the best-suited soul is selected, the determinant studies all energy-related data of the given soul and its future objectives, and begins to look for a couple from whom he would like to obtain a material shell for this soul. In other words, he starts looking for the future parents. Each soul must complete the program of its development. Therefore, it is important that the soul is placed at the place and in the family that provide the best setting for this purpose. Based on his database, the determinant lines up the future parents for the entrusted to him soul. It is more proper when children are born in traditional families and live with their married biological parents. When a child is born to a single mother or when a child's parents divorce, normal energy circulation in the family disrupts. Religion considers abortion a serious sin equal to murder. It is true because the preparation for the birth of a human being carried out above requires a lot of energy, and according to the laws, the energy used above must be paid back. Abortions lead to the so-called energy debts, and as we know, the beauty of a debt is its repayment. People are free to choose, but they must realize that they are accountable for their acts to the highest systems. More information about the incarnation of the human soul on Earth and the birth of a human being can be found in the book of Larissa A. Seklitova and Lyudmila L. Strelnikova.
Tell everyone not to be selfish, not to envy and not to do evil. On the contrary, be kind and live with faith, our faith.